Okay, well, hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining our webinar today on increasing engagement with headline news. My name is Ben Johnston. I'm the Vice President of Product Management here at RMG Networks, and joining me today as co-host is the lovely and wonderful Julie Rasco, our Director of Marketing. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning, Ben. Hi, everyone.
How are you today?
I am doing very good. You?
Awesome. I'm great. I'm great. So today, Julie and I are going to discuss how including headline news as part of your digital signage can improve employee engagement and productivity. And we're also going to tell you about some special Olympic news coverage we have coming up and an offer. But before we get started, we want to check in with audio really quick, just do a little housekeeping, make sure everybody can hear us. If you can hear loud and clear, can you please use the hand raising tool in the webinar tools on the right side of your screen and just let us know if you're okay. You may have to expand the tools with the little red arrow. Let's see if we can get a couple of folks to check in here just to let us know that we've got.
Yeah, we'll give everybody just a minute.
Good, so I don't see any issues there. It looks like we are okay, so we'll get started. So everybody, feel free to use the webinar tools as we talk today to send us questions or comments. We're going to monitor those during the webinar, and we'll respond either during the Q&A session at the end or directly to you via email following the event. And at the end of the webinar, we will also send out a copy of the slides. Okay, so now that that is out of the way, let's get started. So you know, Julie, I was thinking about this the last couple of days in preparing for this webinar, and I think it's really easy for those of us operating digital signage networks, like our listeners, to get caught up in all the cool technology that it takes to run a network, right?
That's true.
The media players,
yes.
The speeds and feeds of the files, the file formats, the screens, the cables, all this stuff.
Right.
But you know, today we're going to talk about what I believe to be the #1 most important aspect of any digital signage network, and that is content. And you know the phrase I'm about to say.
I do know what you're going to say.
The one that's been credited to Bill Gates and some to Redstone, but content is king, and it's so true. You can have the best technology, the fastest media players, the coolest displays, but if your content doesn't engage your audience, then you've really failed, and you've lost an opportunity to affect an employee's or visitors or customers' experience as they pass in front of your screens. So there are really 3 objectives that we want to accomplish today for this webinar and in communicating value to our listeners. And one is we want to communicate the benefits of using automated headline news content in digital signage to create or increase employee engagement. And we want to raise the listeners' awareness of RMG's on-target news offering as a way to do that. And then we're also going to provide access to a very special offer at the end of the webinar. So let's get started.
Okay.
So on the agenda, we're first going to talk about that opportunity to increase employee engagement, right? And it's a really critical issue for companies, how you can engage not only employees but visitors and visitors and guests and customers. Then we're going to introduce you to RMG's on-target news service.
And this is also a really great time for us to talk about on-target news because we have the new Olympics coverage that is planned to start very soon.
That's right. And when do the Olympics start? It's like 8 days?
Yes, it's actually next Friday, and I cannot wait.
I know. I'm so excited about the Olympics. And with the Olympics, we've got a special promotion and a limited time offer, so we're going to talk about that as well. So let's dive right in here on the engagement status. So what is the current status of engagement when you look at companies across the U.S.? So it's really surprising. I'm always surprised when I see these stats. The first one, that only 34% of U.S. employees are engaged at work. And the second stat, that only 13% actually use their company intranet on a daily basis.
You know, those are really troubling statistics. Coming from marketing, I know how important it is to get our internal message out to employees. And if they aren't even looking at the company intranet, then I know they're not getting the messages.
right? And this last stat, that almost half of companies don't even have a way to combat this because they don't have a defined or explicit employee engagement strategy.
Well, that's what we're here to talk about today, how to help with employee engagement.
You know, Julie, when you think about it, reaching out and communicating with today's employees is almost more difficult than ever. You know, we've got all these tools to communicate with, our mobile phones, or desktop computers, digital signage, you know, all these different channels, but they are completely jammed with information. You know, and that's part of the challenge. With all these devices, employees are really oversaturated with information.
You know, I can totally relate to this, as I'm sure most people listening can too. I have those annoying red alerts all over my mobile phone. In fact, right now I have hundreds of unread emails, which is terrible to say. I have voicemails I haven't listened to. I even have a text I haven't read, and that's one of the easiest ways to reach me. I am almost harder to reach now with more technology than I used to be.
I know what you mean. I think you owe me a call back too.
I do, I'm sure.
If you look around too, it seems like everybody's got their head down, right? They're looking at their smartphone. And so businesses today really have to look at new ways to capture the attention of their audience and their employees. And you know, one way to do that is with really captivating digital signage content. But it's got to be brief, and it really does have to be captivating.
A good rule of thumb that I've often heard is that the first 5 seconds is the greatest opportunity that you have to capture attention and interest. And 5 seconds goes by really fast.
It does.
There is even research to back this up, and I've seen it said that the average human attention span is now down to 8 seconds, which is actually less than that of a goldfish.
That is crazy.
It is crazy. It really underscores the importance of images and messages that grab attention
Right.
fast. And one of the best ways to do this is with digital signage. Today, digital signage is the new standard for businesses to cut through this communication clutter that we were talking about. It allows you to reach all of your workforce no matter where they are. And even then, when someone glances at a screen, you need interesting information that makes them pay attention and read the rest of your message on the digital signs or the mobile devices. And one easy way to do this is what we're talking about today.
Yep.
It's incorporating headline news into your digital signage.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, some people have probably seen this stat that if digital signage is visitor facing, like in a waiting room or when people are standing in line, you know, it can actually reduce the perceived wait time by up to 30%. You know, so who wouldn't want a 10-minute wait to feel like 7 minutes?
I know I would.
But having that constantly updated content in different categories like business and sports, weather and entertainment, you know, it's a great way to turn your signage into an information hub that people can rely on.
You know, I actually have started thinking about our internal signage almost like a digital water cooler. It informs, it entertains, and it engages. It's actually my go-to source now for information. And you know, Ben, we were talking just recently about the screen that I have outside of my office, and I find myself looking at it now throughout the day just to kind of see what's happening in the world. And I'm starting to rely on it to keep me updated. And you know, we were talking about how I first heard about Prince.
Yeah, I know. I walked by last week too and saw that Federer wasn't going to perform at the Olympics, so I was shocked.
I know. And not to mention the weather. I want to know if it's going to be raining on my drive home.
Yeah, and traffic is a great thing that can be shown on a map. It gives a lot of value to employees with real-time updates as they're leaving the building. The real benefits that once you grab someone's attention with the news or weather or traffic, then they're more likely to stay engaged for a few seconds and see that other important messaging, right? So your real-time employee performance metrics, or a message from the CEO, or an HR notice about benefits enrollment, or a new product that the company is introducing.
All very true. I really like this quote that we have on the slide here from Nielsen. Knowing how and when to reach the prospective audience is the holy grail of audience measurement and directly correlates return on investment and brand reputation. And this brings up an important point on ROI.
Right.
Businesses that take steps to engage their employees actually outperform those who do not by over 200%. And in fact, studies have shown that for every engaged employee, a company adds $13,000 directly to the bottom line.
Yeah, that's huge, and it's really a staggering opportunity for businesses to take advantage of.
It really is.
So on this next slide, let's take a look at some kind of typical digital signage, right, and how you would incorporate news with it. So in this picture, we're showing a digital signage screen in a fictitious company break room, right, which is a really common location that a lot of RMG's customers use to showcase digital signage. And like we've got digital signage in our own break rooms at RMG. So in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, you'll notice the on-target news section. So let me just blow that up a little bit so it's easier to read. So one strategy that we recommend for our customers to employ when they're thinking about the layout of content is to always have news in the same spot. And by doing this, you can say you've kind of trained your viewers to look at this as an anchor point. So they know that area is going to always be updated with fresh content, and it engages them and gives you the opportunity to then draw their attention over to another area.
You know, I totally agree with this. I always know where to look to find the news or to find the company information on our screens.
Yeah, it's very consistent. So what is on-target news? Let's take a closer look at that news service. So to boil it down, on-target is high-definition, compelling images with some corresponding headlines on the latest happenings around the world in a variety of categories. Includes the best news headlines. This is from world-class news organizations. It's carefully curated daily and pushed automatically on an hourly basis to digital signage screens. And you know, one of the main benefits of having a news service like on Target is that automated publishing. Because you know, in a lot of situations, you know, people that run a digital signage network, that's not their main job.
That's right.
They've got other things to worry about throughout the day. So by taking advantage of automated content sources like a syndicated news service like on Target, you know, you can really focus on running your business and not just focus on running your digital signage.
And that's what's great about this on-target news service is always updating. Once you have it turned on, it's working for you. It keeps your signage populated with news stories and interesting information. And it's not hard to notice when the images are rotating and the visuals are changing every 5 to 10 seconds.
Yeah, and that's really the point of having that news service, to provide that interesting information that keeps people engaged. You know, the more your employees look to your screen for that, the more they're going to notice that other important information, right? And it keeps people from tuning out to that kind of repeat message overload. You know, I've seen a lot of poor implementations of digital signage over the years where the screen just doesn't get updated for weeks at a time. People begin to tune that out, right? And they it loses its reliability as a source of information.
You know, another point we need to make, Ben, is that the news we provide is all licensed and the copyrights are covered. And the information has been filtered to be business appropriate.
Yeah, that's a great point. You know, knowing that you can trust that information, there's not going to be anything offensive on it, and it's fully licensed just helps keep the cost and stress of those issues down so you can focus on running your business. So let's take a couple of looks at some other examples of on-target news integrated with different types of digital signage. So we've talked about using it for employee comms, you know, just in a kind of a corporate environment. You know, we also see it used in contact centers, you know, smaller size on the right side of the screen, up there with agent stats and call statistics. You know, we've seen it used in supply chain. So it can really fit in a wide variety of applications across businesses.
Yeah, these are great examples. Like if you look at the contact center example, as agents are checking to see the day's top stories, they'll also notice if the number of calls in queue or the longest call waiting time is out of range. Or in the supply chain application, they can check the metrics for picking and packing in the warehouse right alongside the day's top stories.
Yeah, those are some great examples of some different looks there. So we've talked about news and weather, you know, but there's really a wide variety of categories available. So we have business news, we've got world headlines, sports news, entertainment. We've got some lighter categories like lifestyle, some of the fun facts and trivia, some quotes from famous people and authors, and then of course the regional radars, national radars, and then we have some industry-specific news for call centers, for utility companies, and then safety tips for manufacturing and supply chain businesses.
You know, one of my favorite categories that we've talked before is about the traffic. I am addicted to the Waze traffic app on my phone.
I know,
But
I
I've
love
been
that.
finding myself looking at the traffic map that we display on our office signage, and I look at it at the end of each day to see if my route is clear before I even get on the elevator to leave work.
Yeah, I love looking at that map too.
And we're excited because we also now have new categories that will be starting next week as we roll out our Olympic coverage with our on-target news service.
Yeah, this is really exciting. This is great content. We've got 3 categories of Olympic coverage. One is called Social Stream, which highlights curated social media messages from athletes and news streams and fan reactions. Of course, these are all filtered and business appropriate. We've got a second category called Games and Pictures. It's going to show people coverage of the athletes and competitions and happenings around the Olympic Village each day. And then, of course, the medal standings.
That's always my favorite part.
Yeah,
I don't watch a ton of sports on TV, but I always get into the Olympics. And it's just amazing to see these athletes that have trained so hard for so long and to hear their stories. I feel like I know them, and I want to root for their success. So I'm constantly looking to see what medal and who's won them and how we're ranking against the other countries.
Yeah, it's so much fun. So what's our timeline for the Summer Games? So starts on Monday. So coverage starts before the opening ceremonies, and it's going to run the entire month of August. There'll be a little wrap-up even after the final ceremonies.
So Ben, with this coverage starting so soon, how hard is it for a company to sign up for Olympic coverage as part of their on-target news subscription?
It's very quick and easy. They call our technical support team. The activation can be done over the air remotely, so it's almost live by the time they finish the phone call.
Oh, that's awesome. And then we're also running a promotion for our Olympics coverage.
Yes, we are. Very cool.
So we have a promotion for our current on-target customers and for new customers so that they will actually get the Olympics package included at no additional charge as part of their new on-target news subscription.
That's a great value. So what do they need to do to get the Olympics added to their account?
Well, the easiest way is just to email us at info@rmgnetworks.com or give us a call at the number you can see here on the screen, which is 1-800-827-9666. And the number and email address are also on our website, and we're going to send them out in the communication that we'll send after the webinar is over.
Awesome. Yeah, and I know as part of that follow-up communication after the webinar, we'll also be sending a flyer out on our on-target news service with the Olympic coverage and a link to the webinar recording.
That's right.
All right, so that brings us really to the end of the presentation. So now what we want to do is open it up for any questions that people have. Julie, it looks like a couple came in.
Yeah, let me look right here. Okay, here's one asking if on-target news and the Olympic coverage is available outside of the United States.
That's a good question. Right now, we only offer on-target news for the U.S., but we will be offering it internationally soon. So stay tuned for more information on that.
That's great. That's very exciting for all of our international audience. Here's another question. My company is public. Do you offer stock quotes as part of your news service?
Yes, absolutely. We do have stock quotes available from all the major exchanges, and many of our customers display stock quotes on their digital signage.
Oh, that's good to know. All right, let's see. Okay, how do we know, here's a question, how do we know what content mix, corporate, news, weather, is right for our employees and visitors? Are there rules for the right mix?
It's a great question, and that's one that's really near and dear to our heart because there's absolutely a right mix, and at RMG we work with each of our customers to find that kind of happy medium, you know, between motivational information, corporate policy information that needs to be communicated, KPIs, and then that entertainment and news content to keep people engaged.
That's right.
So for some customers, you know, we even go a step further and offer fully customized content publishing services. You know, we take their corporate content, help them craft really engaging playlists and stories around that content, and we help them update it on a regular and automated basis.
That's a great service that we offer.
So it looks like there aren't any other questions right now. If you have any more, please reach out to Julie or me directly. Our email addresses are right here on the bottom of this slide. We'll be happy to help you. And if we didn't get to your question during the broadcast or before, we will be sure to do that afterwards. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Remind you, you will get an email with a link to the webinar on demand and to download the collateral sheet. Please pass that along to a colleague if you know anybody that's interested.
Yes, I'd like to remind our listeners about our promotion that we're running. It's a limited time offer. It is running for the entire month of August. So please go ahead and take advantage of that. That's a great with the Olympics right here. And I'd also like to ask our listeners to be sure to follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter. And then to encourage you to subscribe to our blog, which you can find on our website.
Great. You get those in there, being in marketing.
That's right.
So, Julie, thank you so much for organizing this.
Yes, thank you, Ben.
Love the opportunity to talk about our products and services. I hope this was of value to the listeners today. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. That concludes today's webinar.
Yeah, we hope, thanks, Ben, and we hope everyone has a great day today. Goodbye.
So, Julie, what are you doing after the webinar today?
Well, I'm actually going to go outside during lunch because it is beautiful outside today.
Oh, cool. You know, it was raining earlier. Is it going to be nice today?
It is, and you want to know how I know?
How do you know?
I just saw the weather on our digital signage.
Oh, my goodness. Bye, everybody.